Hey guys, welcome back to the RV8 Pilot. Here's another one of the short videos of the modifications I've done on my RV. My son Chandler had the opportunity to take the airplane up to Mackinac Island for a last minute trip before he heads off to flight training with Air Wisconsin Airlines. So I thought this would give me an opportunity to show you the couple of modifications I did in the rear baggage area, as well as how I connected my smoke system. All right, here we go.
Yeah, you're funny.
We're doing it! We're doing it!
All right guys, here we are going to take a look at those two modifications I did in the back. So I pulled out the bottom seat cushion for the passenger. That lets this upper cushion hinge a little easier and rest forward, giving me full access to the back. So a couple of the modifications I did were, again, these are for maintenance and ease of doing changes if you need to. Both of them are going to lie up underneath this carpet kit. This carpet kit is from Flightline Interiors up in Wisconsin from Abby. She does a great job. Highly recommend her and her products. So the first one's going to be up underneath this bottom part. I'll just kind of roll the carpet back here, try to keep the light. And it's going to be this little panel right here. I just made this little door. This floor gets riveted in permanently with the blind rivets. So this floor I didn't make removable. Some guys do that. It's this little door. I already did the quarter turn undone, and I can just lift it up right here. And that is my ELT antenna connection right there for the cable. You can do ELT or transponder or any other antenna obviously, but this is what I have in mind. But I made this door to make it easy accessible to that cable for any future maintenance I have to do on the antenna or the cable itself. And that just lies up underneath the carpet there. And I just have a single quarter turn flush, and that's it. All right guys, the other modification I did is similar to the antenna one. It's up underneath this carpet on the baggage shelf, and it's this door right here. Again, this is to make access for future maintenance and inspection super easy. So hinged on the aft portion of it there with one hinge, two cam locks, which I already undid for you, and I can lift that up. And there you can see the full access I have. Let me get the light in there. And what that gets me is access to my autopilot servo, all the hardware connecting to the bell crank and the push tubes for the elevator. Plus all my dyno equipment you can see is down there. So I have the ADS-B, the two comm radios. So this just gives me great access to those pieces of equipment. Now, not required, obviously, because you can see around the perimeter all the way around here, the screws that go around. So this whole shelf comes unscrewed and comes out, but that will take you quite a bit of time to get all those screws out and to get this whole panel out. This one piece right here, two cam locks, flip it up, and now you have access to work in there to inspect and change out things or just maintain things as needed, making it super easy. All right guys, next thing I want to talk about was my smoke tank. And here's the system that I'm using. It's from Smoking Airplanes, and they do a pretty awesome job with designing and building these systems. As a matter of fact, they'll customize it, and I did have mine customized just a little bit as to where the pump was going to be mounted. And I did that for a couple reasons, mainly to have everything lined up to how I wanted it to, the hose and the ability to get to parts, how it faced. And so one of the modifications I did, and I don't think anybody else has done it except for my good buddy Glenn Vokak, is to utilize the external fill kit for the RV so that it looks like the P51D model center tank fuel cap. And I'll show you a little bit of that once we get over the airplane. But the idea is I have the angle bracket down here mounted permanently to the tank, and then there's 4 holes on either side that match up to the holes in my baggage floor where I had nut plates put in before. So most of the stuff was from McMaster Carr. I got some flexible clear hose that's chemical resistant, well, the band clamps to seal everything up, and a couple of the specialized fittings here. These were just fittings from the Home Depot. Worked pretty good. I think it's 1.5 inches maybe, or 2 inch, I can't remember size on those, but had to do a little bit of modifications on there. The idea is I have a vent line right here, and that's a quick disconnect fitting. That's made for water softener parts, 1/4 inch nipples on either end. So I have the corresponding one inside the aircraft that vents down below. I have a high pressure fitting right here, and this is the fitting that's going to run from the smoke oil that's going to run down this hose into the pump out here all the way forward to my exhaust pipes. So this is under high pressure, and these are like an air hose disconnect, but it's made for dragster or racing cars fuel lines. So they're leak proof, and they handle the pressure, and they're okay for chemicals such as oil and gas. So that works real well for quick disconnect. And then the power cable quick disconnect. So in order to remove this system, I take out the 4 bolts, which are pretty easy. I do the quick disconnect off the high pressure line, disconnect the electrical, and disconnect the vent line. And I have a thumb screw clamp up here on the top that connects onto the filler cap up there. So I can have this system in and out in 10, 15 minutes or less. Makes it super simple. Worst part is right now it's got almost 3.5 gallons. Well, it's got about 3 gallons in there right now. These lines I put on there, they're vinyl, since I just cut it on my vinyl printer. And I did this when the airplane's tail low, since it is a tail dragger. I put in 1 gallon, and wherever it sat at the angle, I knew that was where 1 gallon, and I marked it. Same thing with 2, 3, and 3.5. So it doesn't correspond in level here, but it does correspond to when I have the airplane on its tail wheel and the tank itself is at an angle. So all right, well, I'll get this in, and I'll show you some of the connections once we get it in the airplane. All right, guys, I'm back. I just put the tank back in, so you can see right down here the 2 bolts on the right side of the aircraft, and the same thing on the left side of the aircraft there. One of them's up underneath the tank back there. Plenty of room to get to. I just use a longer open end or a box wrench that's ratcheting. And here you'll see the connections. So there is my high pressure line. So this is the opposite side of the female version connector for that quick disconnect for that racing fuel lines. And so I have that connected to my hose, which runs all the way forward to the firewall to the distribution tee that's going to spray the oil into the 2 exhaust pipes. And then this line right here with the white end, that's the female version for the water line, and that's what I'm using for my vent. And then I have the electrical connection, which is right there coming out of the floor. So let me get these connected. Okay, I'm on the other side of the aircraft now, and you can also see the clear hose that's connected up here to the filler cap, and I'll show you that once I get the canopy closed so you can see what that looks like. But so I just take my vent line and I go through to give it a high point up to the top there, and that comes down and connects into that, snaps in, done. And then the high pressure line, squeeze it, snap in place, and that's it. Nice and secure, leak proof. And then the electrical connections all connected there. So we have the high pressure line that's protected down through there, got the electrical there, the vent line coming up through there, and then the thumb screw on that so I can refill it. So now this is super secure, 7/16 inch bolts down through the substructure into the angled ribs that are underneath there for the floor support. So I did those ahead of time, did some doublers on the aluminum to give it some more beef to it. And now I can have this in there, and you can still see I can get access to the baggage shelf back there, and I still have some room on the side. So I can still put quite a bit of stuff back here, even with the smoke system in place. The nice thing about the fill tube that I have here is I can fill it from the outside of the airplane, and I won't spill in my baggage area. Fills the tank nicely, and now you can see how the oil presents itself in the tank here when you're at an angle, so it shows a little bit lower, so those are accurate. Yeah, okay, so that's my modification. So let me close the canopy, and we'll show you what that fill cap looks like. Let's close up the canopy. And there you can see the smoke oil fill cap right there. So it just pushes out. And that's it. Now I can just fill up the oil right there to the 3.5 gallons I need, and I'm good. It always lines up with that cap lined into the wind. And that's it. All right, guys, there's a couple more modifications I did in the rear baggage area, as well as how I connected my smoke system from smoking airplanes. Highly recommend those guys. That company and the pump works great. Everybody says I got really good smoke. The smoke oil I'm using is a food grade mineral oil, a little cheaper. I buy it in the 55-gallon barrels, and man, it makes great white smoke. Again, with all of these modifications, keep in mind, I'm an amateur builder. I'm not an A&P, so take what I've been saying for what it's worth. Do your research, make sure you know what you're doing, and if you decide to make these modifications, do some planning ahead and get all the questions answered that you need to. Anyways, I hope you guys like these videos. If you do, please subscribe. It helps us. Click the little bell to make sure you get notifications whenever I do the updated videos. My goal is to try to do one once a week, as long as my flight schedule permits. This week is the first week of October is coming up, and I'm heading down to Pine Bluff, Arkansas for the FFI formation flying clinic. So it's a 3-day clinic, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going down Thursday to get a little extra day of flying, but should have a video on some of that coming up, and look forward to meeting all those guys and learning the proper techniques of formation flying. All right, thanks again for watching. Bye.